Hello, you're welcome to the special edition of Diplomatic Affairs. We are coming to you all the way from Brussels, Belgium, right at the seat of the European Union. In this special edition of Diplomatic Affairs, we will bring you stories that are trending in the world of diplomacy and international relations. My name is Harriet Nati. I will be back right after this break. Now, to our first story, we will be talking about the comeback of the European Union Ambassadors Conference 2022. The EU took a very long break on the back of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, the European Union Ambassadors Conference 2022 has taken off in full swing after 2 years of no-show as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The annual conference each year brings together EU heads of mission from the EU's 145 delegations and offices around the world. Well, I met the European Union ambassador to Ghana right here, and we talked about so many things, including relations between Ghana or the European Union and Ghana, and also the ongoing ambassadors conference. Take a listen. Your Excellency, it's good to see you here.
Welcome to Brussels. What a nice coincidence, because we have to tell the viewers, right, this was not organized, this was not pre-cooked,
right,
and these are the best encounters, I would say.
What are you doing here?
I participate in the yearly Ambassadors Conference. So it's the European Union's Ambassadors Conference. Like many diplomacies, we have a yearly meeting, a gathering between the ambassadors, the representative of the European Union, in order to touch base amongst ourselves on the ongoing issues, to compare notes, of course. When you are in Fiji or when you are in Ghana, it's not exactly the same challenges, or they are the same commonalities. But most importantly, we are gathered here as well to get the vision of the leadership. Leadership. And I suppose we will touch upon that in a few moments, is the President of the European Council, Mr. Charles Michel, who is sharing basically what keeps him awake at night, okay? He's chairing the meeting of the European head of states, okay? The presidents and the head of government of the member states. And of course, as you can imagine, they are quite busy with Ukraine, but not only. This is an important point. Then the other big figure of the leadership is the President of the European Commission, Madame Ursula von der Leyen, and this is the seat of the European Commission. And she's part of the executive as well, and she is responsible of the administration in charge of making proposals on the table and follow up based on the tasking of the European head of states on issues which are relevant to the European Union, European Commission. And then there is the European External Action Service. So basically it's the diplomatic service. Right. This is the service which is in charge of coordinating the foreign affairs of the European Union. Because, you know, the Commission is in charge of everything. Internal affairs, like, I don't know, the norms on electricity, the norms on energy, the norms on security when it comes to the cars, so on and so forth. The internal market, you know, the internal market is basically what the AFTA is trying to achieve. So basically this is the European Commission's job, to make sure that a Polish truck driver can go as far as let's say Portugal, with absolutely no hindrance on the way to sell, I don't know, cement or things like that. So this is what we call the internal market. So the European Commission is in charge both of issues of internal interest as issues somewhat of external interest, like climate change. Right. Climate change does not stop at the border of the European Union, global, for example. And now, today, we realize that energy, which was an issue of internal market, is an issue of external relevance as well, due to the war, as you know, provoked by Russia on Ukraine, and all the issue linked to access to energy. So, you know, these institutions are working together in symbiosis. It's not one or the other. The member states and the head of states are giving a political impulsion, and they agree on the biggest things, and then they task the institutions, but then the institutions are in charge of brewing, proposing, assessing, elaborating on those political tasking and make concrete proposals. And then this is being discussed again at the council.
Right.
And there is a very important institution which is not here on the Rond-Point Schuman.
Okay.
It is the representative of the citizens. It is the parliament. And the
EU Parliament.
The parliament is fully part of the decision-making process because they are the representative of the citizens. They are elected directly by the citizens, and they have a very important say on the legislative process.
Okay.
And they can amend, they can propose, they can halt, they can accelerate discussion on specific issues. So this is what we call the institutional triangle.
Okay.
The states, the commission, the parliament. So there is a permanent feedback, interaction on those issues.
Very interesting. Now, you also mentioned that the EEAS, which is the European External Action Service,
Well done.
is responsible for foreign policy.
Yes.
Can you just take us a bit
Of course,
into that?
of course. This is a late creation decided by the head of states.
Okay.
The head of states together with the parliament, they decided to amend the European treaty.
Okay.
And in the treaty, they wanted the creation of the European External Action Service to coordinate the external policies of the European Union, to work to support the High Representative, Mr. Borrell, who is part of the leadership as well, who is basically the foreign minister as well as the defense minister. So we are here to support his work, and his work is to present and implement foreign policy and suggest, elaborate, submit, so on and so forth. So this is more or less like a Ministry of Foreign Affairs and defense to some extent, because we have departments in charge of what we call the common defense and policy, security policy. So that's pretty much it. It's a late adjunction to the institution when the European Union was more active on the international, at the global scene as a political actor.
You know, now when you look at the framework of the European Union, one can tell that Africa is very important to the EU. Why is it so?
Have you seen a map recently? So Africa is the closest continent to Europe. It's 14 kilometers away from Europe. So there is an issue of geography. There is, of course, an issue of history. There is a shared history between Europe and Africa. And everything that matters in Africa matters to Europe as well. Be it demography, be it economy, be it security, be it culture, be it innovation. Everything that matters for and in Africa matters in Europe because of this closeness, this intricacy. What are you doing here in Europe, Ariette?
We are here to promote Ghanaian culture, yes. African culture.
Yes, but why in Europe? Because it's so close.
Right.
So there is, I would say, a simple explanation to that.
Now that's very exciting. I want us, before you already mentioned the EEAS, we've talked about, this one is what again?
The European Commission.
European Commission, and I see the Council of the Council
yes.
of the European Union as well. Now, you mentioned, I'm very much interested in some of the issues that popped up during your
Yes.
meeting
Yeah, of course.
at this year's EU ambassadors meeting. What is the focus?
There is not one focus, but there is a large story. The large story, without any surprise, is the crisis born by the war imposed by Russia on Ukraine, because these have deep implications for everyone.
Yes.
I remember last time we've met, you asked me if the European Union has lived up to its commitment for peace.
Yes.
It was for me a bit surprising. It's like asking you, as the AU has lived up to its commitment because there is a crisis in Mozambique or in Sahel. So, of course, it's a war which unfolds on the European continent, as you know, not in the European Union territory, but it has consequences globally, as you know well in Ghana. When it comes to access to finance, the food prices, full. This is, I would say, the very close consequences. But one of the main elements we have been discussing, and the vision of our leadership from HRVP, High Representative Borrell, for example, by Charles Michel, by Madame von der Leyen, is this is something no one can escape. Neutrality is not an option, because the way this situation will end will determine very much the type of world we want to build and we will be living. The question which is asked and which has been answered yesterday by the UN General Assembly is it okay that someone grabs and annexes a territory through the means of war? And the answer was very unambiguous. 143 countries, including Ghana, said no, it's not okay. This was a vote yesterday that took place in New York. And as I said, 143 nations have voted against the proposed annexion by Russia of some of the territories in Ukraine.
At the United Nations.
Why does that matter? It matters because it means that the world is governed by rules.
Yeah.
And you could not or you should not infringe rules without any sanctions, because this is the best way to protect the interest of everyone. And it's fair to say, and I'm quoting the president of Ghana, President Akufo-Addo, saying that this is, for a country such as Ghana, for example, the best protection against potential wrongdoers. It's not that someone will invade Ghana tomorrow, but it's an entrance that there are rules, and rules should be applied. So this is very important, number one. Other discussions was linked to that as well, but there was a consensus that Ukraine is a very important matter, but we should not lose focus on other important discussions around the globe, in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, in what we call the neighborhood, which is the Arab world, so to speak. So I think it was very important that our leadership reminded that even though Ukraine is taking a lot of focus, energy, and a priority, the rest of the world, because we are in it together, matters very much, and matters not only through the eyes of Ukraine. As you know, we have regular discussion with Ghana at political level, but not only through the lenses of Ukraine, because we have our bilateral things to attend to. We have our regional priorities in West Africa and Sahel to attend to, and these issues should not take a second step or be on the back burner because of Ukraine. Ukraine is important, but we are able and we should be dealing with other issues as well, and discuss and assess and engage on topics of relevance, of interest for the African continent, for Ghana, for instance.
Did the issue of the African Continental Free Trade Area also pop up?
Yes, there was a question around that. I was asked to make a short state of play, or I'm not in charge of AFTA, but it was a testimony because I'm serving in the country which is the host of the secretary. And my colleagues and my, I would say, hierarchy were happy to note that there were, advancement ongoing. I referred to the first exchange of goods with Kenya. And this was a very, very encouraging indication. I reminded as well my colleagues in Brussels that the African Union and the Secretariat want to do it their way. We are making proposals to support them. We are making proposals to share lessons learned of seven decades of creation of regional integration. But it's not a way to say, do like we do. It's not that. It's just we have done things. Some of them worked. Some of them worked less because of so and so. We have experts. Use that if you want. But it's not a way for us to impose anything on you. And I think it's very important as well that my colleagues here hear that.
But there are lessons to be learned from each other.
Of course. And we will have at some point lessons to learn about from AFTA. Because there might be things that will have been done better. There might be things that, the circumstances are not the same as well. The logistics, the cost of transportation, things like that. So there are many things that we can exchange from one another.
Right. Now that we are done with your assignments here in Brussels and the African Continental Free Trade Area and all of that, let me take you back home. What have you been?
I miss Accra, so
Now let's go to Ghana. Let's talk about what's happening so far between the European Union and Ghana.
It's a very dense and a very rich relation, as you know. As I said, there are a huge range of topics of common interest. The latest is the common work that we are doing in order to support or give, I would say, international limelight to the Accra initiative, which is largely but not uniquely a Ghanaian initiative, for example. But we have ongoing talks on business climate. There are things on which there are works to be done on both sides, but to attract international investment, as you have heard me say in the industrial summit business summit, or in any other occasion, there is a necessity of predictability, of level playing field, so on and so forth, and we want to invest more. There is this ongoing discussion on cocoa, and then it comes from the parliament, and once again, it's not for Ghana lens, it's a discussion on cocoa. For the European lens, it's not about cocoa and Ghana at all. Right. It's about deforestation around the world, linked to the production of meat, first of all, cattle, then soya beans, maize, cocoa, coffee, and palm oil, for example. And then we are working together with Cocoa Board, with the government, in order to help Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, as a matter of fact, to meet the requirement. So, if anything, this is more a good story than a bad story, because Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana have been identified as the privileged partner to EU to benefit from our support and a specific scheme in order for these two large economies, our large cocoa producer, to meet the requirement that we will be setting in a few years' time. So this is more a good story than a bad story. So, as I said, the discussion is very wide. We have an ongoing discussion on sustainability when it comes to fisheries. This is a very serious issue. We are discussing a lot with the Minister of Fisheries. We are supporting her endeavor to implement the existing regulation when it comes to closing season, when it comes to netgear, when it comes to licensing. and I have to say she's quite energetic. The challenge is very high, and we are here as well, once again, to support the Ghanaian priority, because in the end, sustainability of the fish is very important to the coastal communities. It's very important to the Ghanaian economy, because you could be a bigger exporter of fish products. And I suppose in the current situation of all of us in the crisis, you would be better off with a more sustainable and more efficient use of the natural resources. So the relation between the EU and Ghana are very, very wide, and this is one of the reasons why I feel privileged in serving in this position, because this gathers a lot of attention. The President is visiting the EU and European countries on a regular basis. Yes. Because of that, these are not courtesies. These are opportunities to deepen ongoing discussion, to implement scheme, to advance some of the files of common interest. So this is a very, I would say, a conducive environment for this bilateral.
Let's wrap up, shall we?
For me, it was a great pleasure to meet you, a huge surprise, and I hope we meet soon in Accra. I miss Accra.
I miss Accra too. The weather is beautiful in Accra. It's very cold here, so we are trying to survive. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the EU to Ghana, Ambassador Ichad Ramendrasa Razali.
Well done. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us right here from Brussels. This is Diplomatic Affairs. The name is Harriet Nati. I know there is a tour waiting, so I cannot wait, like I'm in a hurry, to experience, the seat of the European Union. So this looks like a bracelet.
It is a bracelet. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Yes, I think it's called a bracelet. But I made it myself because basically one thing that I loved and I discovered in Accra is the beauty of the beads.
The beauty of the beads.
Yes. And this is some of my hobby.
Did you make this yourself?
Yes, of course.
You made this yourself?
Yes.
And you put this together?
Yes. And
it's very symbolic. Tell me about it. I see the EU.
I've made several other ones.
Okay.
I like them too much to bring them here. I didn't want them to have any adventures. So when we are in Accra, we'll have a big discussion.
Oh, okay. All right. But you tell me this has...
I bought them in Koforidua.
Koforidua, right.
Yes.
Right.
And, they have not been sorted by the meanings. I sorted them by my feelings.
Yourself?
Yes.
Oh, based on what you felt at that moment.
Yes.
So there's a story to this. What does it say?
What do they say?
Symbolic.
They say, I am happy to be in Accra.
Okay. But this is what?
I don't know. There was
just one of the
yes, but I liked
designs. It's beautiful.
It's like a sun.
The Ukrainian foreign minister visited Ghana some few days ago and at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration to meet his counterpart, Her Excellency Shelley Ayoko Boche. Now, Ukraine seeks to deepen diplomatic relations with Ghana. Speaking with his counterpart, Her Excellency Shelley Ayoko Boche at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ukraine's chief diplomat, Dmitry Kuleba, cited his country's interest in opening a diplomatic mission in Ghana as part of broadening the relations between the two countries. The question is, how strategic is this, given the fact that Ukraine currently finds itself in a very, very bad situation with Russia?
And so I came here to Ghana to build, to further boost a relationship based on appreciation, mutual respect, and mutually beneficial joint undertakings. We will discuss security-related issues today, educational issues, trade issues. All of this can shape the future of our relationship. We perfectly understand the situation, the challenges and the threats that Ghana is facing. We will be happy if we can be of help in addressing them. And of course, I would like also to mention that I had the honor this morning to be received by President of Ghana, and his words from the address at the UN General Assembly, that every bullet and every bomb fired at Ukraine is felt in Africa, is the clearest and the most eloquent statement and a reflection of the global repercussions of the Russian aggression against Ukraine. We have to stop this war. We will by winning it, because we defend the right cause, the principle of sovereignty, the principle of territorial integrity of a nation. And it's a big pleasure for me to hear today from both the President and my dear colleague, Minister, that these are exactly the principles that Ghana stands for and Ghana is ready to defend. So I very much appreciate you having me here in Accra today, and I'm looking forward to our negotiations.
Thank you very much. Let me welcome you to Ghana. I hope your stay so far has been good. And to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, my dear colleague and brother, Minister Kuleba. The relations between our two countries go back since your independence, and it's a relationship I can say has been strong on the political front. Your being here following a visit by a deputy trade minister in 2018 from Ukraine means that the relations between our two countries is poised for a higher level, and I can assure you that Ghana is very ready to cooperate with Ukraine on all the areas that you've mentioned, in the area of security, in the area where our two foreign ministries will work together in terms of education or training our diplomatic staff, also in the area of education, in the area of trade, in the area of agriculture. These are all possibilities, and I'm happy that we have the opportunity to explore these areas today through our bilateral meeting that we've just started. Also, you have not just come here on your own with your officials, but you have come with a business delegation as well. Ghana is the seat of the African Continental Free Trade Area, and therefore we see Ghana as that launch pad into the into the rest of Africa, into the 1.3 billion market. And so you're coming here this morning, and then the afternoon program with the Ghana Chamber of Commerce opens up possibilities of trade and investment, and we really look forward to that. I'm sure the businesses that will be paired also look forward to having partnerships with Ukrainian companies in the various areas. So thank you very much for coming. You're very welcome. The President has given you the highest welcome, and I give you same. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to tie up some very important initiatives that we will be talking about today. Thank you. You're welcome. His Excellency Kuleba is on a 10-day African tour. He's been to Senegal, to Cote d'Ivoire, and he's here with us in Ghana. He, from Ghana, will be visiting East Africa, and Kenya will be his first stop. This morning, he paid a courtesy call on His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and delivered the special message from his president. This morning, here at the Foreign Ministry, we have held bilateral talks on issues of common interest. We have talked about how we intend to strengthen the relations between our two countries. We established diplomatic relations with Ukraine in 1992. The relations have been quite strong, especially on the political level. In 2018, a deputy trade minister from Ukraine visited Ghana. And on that visit, strong trade and economic cooperation potential, these were actually looked at, they were discussed, and the need to enhance the relations in the area of trade and economic development were established. I think that this visit of my brother Kuleba will go a long way to deepen what we already know and what we already share between the two countries. But more than deepening it, I think that we want to see tangible results from this visit. And we intend to do the follow-ups in the various areas. Currently, or I must say before the war broke out, Ghana was exporting manganese, aluminum ore, and cocoa powder to Ukraine. Also, we were receiving imports, including hot rolled iron, cold rolled iron, and grains from Ukraine. So this is the basis on which we are going to now accelerate the economic and investment relations. We see potential in the area of oil and gas, petrochemicals, and security. Also in agriculture. For us here, we have state institutions that can set the ball rolling quite quickly. We have the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, the Ghana Free Zones Authority, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, also the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to promote our trade and inward investments. These institutions are very keen on collaborating and working with their Ukrainian counterparts and the business community of Ukraine. Fortunately, the foreign minister on this trip has brought some potential investors, about 10 of them. And this afternoon, there will be a meeting, a trade forum, where they'll be exploring some partnerships with Ghanaian businesses. We recognize the historic role of Ghana in contributing to the maintenance of international peace and security through the United Nations, the African Union, and ECOWAS. As a country, we continue to be a major troop contributing country for peace support operations. We also contribute actively to efforts to resolve regional conflicts on the African continent. So we remain firmly committed to the peaceful resolution of disputes. And as a member of the United Nations, we are opposed to acts that violate the sovereignty and territorial integrity of any United Nations member states. Ghana and Ukraine are members of the UN. We subscribe to the UN Charter fully. So any invasion of a member state of the United Nations by another, we believe and we all know is a breach of the letter and spirit of the Charter. And that is why in all our pronouncements and statements at the United Nations General Assembly and particularly at the United Nations Security Council, we have spoken against this. It is not because we are against Russia, but it is because of the principle that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of every member state, including Ukraine, must be respected.
We are also ready to set up a bilateral intergovernmental commission based on the outcomes of our consultations to keep the machinery, the government machinery, rolling on both sides in the right direction. Of course, we started our talks with the issue of security, and this is where Ukraine is offering its experience to Ghana. You have Wagner in Burkina Faso, in Mali, we have Wagner in Ukraine. You have disinformation in Africa, we have disinformation in Ukraine, and we have quite an experience. I wish we did not have it, but since President Putin imposed this war on us and committed an aggression against Ukraine, we learned a lot. And we learned not only how they attack others with the use of hybrid means, but we also learned how to counter these attacks, and most importantly, how to win. And this is the experience that we are ready to share with Ghana. By the way, one of the main disinformations spread by Russia across Africa is that Russia is fighting for liberty against former colonial powers and brings the fire of liberty and dignity to the world. This is what Russia says. If you look at facts, you can see that the biggest investment Russia made in Africa is bringing Wagner mercenaries to destabilize the situation, to sow divisions in Africa, and to put pressure on neighbors of those countries who border countries where Wagner is present. This is the biggest investment of Russia. And this is not the investment that is aimed at ensuring prosperity, transformation of economies, industrialization of countries. No. This is not about freedom, this is not about dignity, this is not about equality. It's about war and suffering. Food security. I reiterated to Honorable Minister that Ukraine will do everything it can to ensure that the grain corridor that brings Ukrainian grain from our ports on the Black Sea to Africa will continue to function. And I want you to know that the only threat to the functioning of this corridor is the Russian Federation. This agreement between the United Nations, Turkey and Russia on the functioning of this corridor expires in November, and we should all unite our efforts to make sure that Russia will not block the functioning of this corridor, putting at risk of famine lives of millions of Africans with only one goal: to use grain, to play hunger games and use grain as a leverage in politics. Ukraine appreciates friendship, and we discussed today supplies of agricultural products. We know how important the issue of fertilizers is. I'm going back to Kiev, and will have conversations with our Ministry of Agriculture on how we can help friends under these circumstances. What we already did is the decision to provide grain as humanitarian aid to Somalia and Ethiopia. These countries, especially Somalia, are already suffering from famine. And despite the fact that, as you understand, Ukraine is fighting a war against a foreign aggressor, and it's not easy for us, but we still found the way to help those who need food the most. Ukraine has been a guarantor of food security, of global food security, and will continue to play this role despite all the difficulties. А ми нашу версію не підписуємо? На нашому бланку ми не підписуємо.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is good.
Let's talk about the Renaissance of Culture Ghana event, which has taken off in a grand style. Diplomatic Affairs is a partner to this brilliant initiative that seeks to promote Ghanaian culture and influence in mainland Europe. We started in Belgium, Antwerp, where we came over some 2 months ago, and the second edition is happening or took place in Zurich, Switzerland. It was beautiful. It was spectacular. We had so many prominent Ghanaian musicians mounting the stage to sing some of the songs that we all like to listen to. We had Amachi Dede. Of course, he's the legendary when it comes to Ghanaian music. We also had Kofi Kinata. Everybody loves Kofi Kinata. Orekodo, he was there representing, Ghana, and it was beautiful. And we also had Adani Best, another amazing legend in the music industry. Now, I had the opportunity to engage them to find out and learn about their take on the second edition of the Renaissance of Culture Ghana. Let's take you there.
Rồi.
Everything she did do with me, I for keep pressing me. Will you be all I see? See, take my heart, play down. It turns say all is real. Oh no, baby, tomorrow make happy your love. You take my heart, play down. It turns say all is real. Oh no, baby, tomorrow make happy your love.
This is the only show that brings you happenings from the diplomatic community in Ghana and around the world. We also project happenings from the diasporans, Ghanaians in the diaspora, and we get to know what is happening. Of course, Ghana cannot be transformed or developed without the participation of Ghanaians in the diaspora or Africans in the diaspora. We are calling all of them to come home and help share ideas and also contribute when it comes to building our beautiful country, Ghana. For us, it is very crucial that we are here today to record or document this all-important event in Switzerland, Zurich. And so I'm happy to be starting the show with a very vibrant, dynamic, beautiful, I'm sure she's very, very lit. She actually put the whole room on fire. Everybody was on fire. I have Miss Liz right here with me. It's my first encounter with her, and I've been thrilled, and I know you are going to be thrilled by the time I am done with her right here on Diplomatic Affairs. Let's talk about tonight.
So basically, it is so amazing to see a lot of people come through here from different parts of Switzerland. We've got Zurich, Bern, Geneva, all of them come here united as one. It's also amazing to see not only black Ghanaians, but also white people coming through, reuniting, showing us love. So it's just amazing to see how Ghanaians, we can literally come together and make things work. So it's very, very amazing to see how the place is full, like people are dancing, people are jamming. We also had an amazing culture band, culture dances, which kind of takes us back to before, so yes, our roots, so which is very, very crucial for us Ghanaians as well. So it's so amazing for me. I don't get to see it every day, so when I come and I see this, it's just so nice. It's so important, and I absolutely love it.
We want to sell Ghana to the world. We want to promote Ghana, and that is the whole idea when it comes to the renaissance of Ghana culture, projecting our culture, who we are, to the world. I have with me a legend in the music space. I don't know what he's been doing to himself, but he continues to look so young and very fine. Adani Best, okay, Mini.
Charlie. Dromo song.
Dromo song.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Around in the studio working on my the latest that I'll be releasing next year. Yeah.
You have a new song coming out next year. It's been a while since we heard, all the latest, the bangers that you have released, and they continue to stay in the industry. They continue to, to be sung by people. People still know your music.
Well, my songs are timeless. And, 30 years in the music business.
You have been 13 years. You have done 30 years in the music industry. That's a lot of experience.
And I will be celebrating it next year. Next year, March. I'll be celebrating it next year, March. And I'm planning to, do it big in Accra.
In Accra.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Renaissance of Culture Ghana. This event, this is the first one in Switzerland. And I saw how the crowd, the people, you thrilled them and they are loving you, coming to you, and they are just feeling your vibes. Let's talk about this event.
I'm marveled, surprised at how the Ghanaian community cheered. I mean, they really love me. They've shown love, a great love. I love them. They are so caring, so caring. I thank them very much for showing so much love. God bless them. God bless them.
God bless the Ghanaian community in Zurich, Switzerland. They have shown all of us so much love, feeding us and taking care of us, driving us here and there. Even though they are busy, they still have the time. They've made time to take care of all of us, since we got here. And that is the Ghanaian hospitality we are talking about. That's our signature everywhere we go. Our actions will tell you who we are. And so that has been very, very good. We've enjoyed ourselves, Adani Best, you are celebrating 30 years in the music industry in March.
Yeah.
Let's relive some of the songs. Give me like 2 lines. Which one did you do in there?
Okay, I sang Zobrena wenya fanoza imembe prewo ina webe zaziganye betoye enyelenia yebenani eja endi vena wambe prewo ena wanko tu mambe mrika Yego amre ne rono no ni bonibi Nze mami ubanu dere rave mondodo nze wo we dresse wo dobi owo ampa ndi benezo mame mame ware o baba zisima omuntu bi mami jije o bazizi begun Mame ware o baba sisi mami sisi o ba sisi begumi
Sisi o ba sisi bekume. It's been great, and we're talking about the Renaissance of Culture Ghana. It's the second edition. I was in Belgium with them, and here I am again with my team in Switzerland. We've had some very top-notch names performing at this second edition right here in Zurich, and one of them is Amachi Dede. Serious. Serious.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm very sure
If
of
you
what
are
I'm
sure,
talking
then
about.
I'm also sure.
But
Okay.
you rest assured you did a fantastic job in there, standing on your feet for like 2-3 hours and rocking the crowd. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Maybe see a kind of renaissance of culture Ghana. This is the first time at Europe. These things now we are beginning to focus on mainland Europe. So anyway, I'm US and UK. I'm excited that finally Europe has its fair share of the cake.
Yeah.
Sienna, what do you think?
For me, I don't think of anything about the show because I'm always prepared with my guys to do a good show. Yeah, so I don't think I have a problem on doing a show. Yeah.
And do you think we should continue, the organizers should continue with these kinds of concepts every now and then in Europe?
Yeah, why not? If they want to do it, I'm with them. And I will give them my support and then for them to do it. So I don't have any problem doing it with them.
I see. Let's talk about you. You continue to live on your songs that were made when I wasn't even born. And these are timeless songs, you know. My mom is one of your number one fans. My mother. She's crazy about you. After this, we're going to take a picture. I'll take it back home to Ghana and I'll tell her. But let's talk about the Ghanaian music industry. What is your view coming up, and then of course the legends like yourself?
Okay, for me, every year or every time, a type of some musicians come around. You see, so I can't judge anybody because I'm not God to judge somebody. But if they think what they are doing is good, then I'm not surprised about it.
And say about collaborations, will you be willing to collaborate with some of these youngsters?
Or if only they are ready for me, then I'm also ready for them.
I'm actually last words. Meaning so what Bremen person better na ha check. So your last words. Then I person catch Ghanaians in the diaspora, and then of course back home the people.
You see, I have my daughter who has just completed a musical school in the UK. Yeah. He just took a degree, and I'm always trying to help her. Whatever he needs, I'm ready to support because I want her to be like me. Yeah.
Continue with the legacy.
That's it. That's it.
We have the headline artist Kofi Kinata. Actually, we came with him, all the way from Ghana. So we are here. He's been running away. I've been chasing him. I said, Kofi, you know what? And at your time, no, I'll so we need baby. I'll record.
All move.
Kofi, let's talk. How did you do it? The whole crowd. Everybody was on their feet. How did you do it?
Yeah, it's always fun when you get to meet your fans from the other side, you know. We have to bring them what's happening at home. Yeah, so it's just like bringing Ghana to them here. And you get to meet new fans. You get to know what's going on overseas and things like that. So it's really good to meet the fans from the other side. They enjoy themselves. Most of the times they see us online and they watch us on YouTube. So when it's time for us to bring the live music to them, you know, it's fun. Work and happiness. We performing and having fun at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Performing and having fun at the same time. Kofi, Yanka, the Renaissance of Culture Ghana in Zurich, Switzerland. What do you think about this brilliant concept?
I think I'm very impressed from what I saw. You know, almost everybody was in, local attire. Almost everybody was wearing something African. I wouldn't say Ghanaian, but something African. It's impressive. It means they are still keeping the culture, though they are outside, but they are not getting influenced. They are still keeping their culture to themselves, and it's good to see that.
Can we get more of these things happening in the diaspora? I mean, most of the time we see it happening in the US, in the UK. This is like the mainland Europe. And it's like the maiden one. I was at the first one in Belgium, and this is the second one in Zurich. How can we continue to promote this concept?
I was even surprised to see people come out like this. Yeah, I was told this is the maiden edition, but I was surprised to see people come out like this, especially in Switzerland. Switzerland they are not the loud type.
And the community in Switzerland.
Yeah, the Ghana community here is not that large, and I'm surprised seeing this. Going forward, I think it will be very large. It will be very large if we keep on giving them shows like this, like festivals, unlike other places. We went to New York like this. We had a Made in Ghana festival over there, and you get to see people dressing kente, people dressing fugu, the mug and stuff like that. So I think this is just the beginning. We need not to rush things. The promotion needs to be very loud. And from what I saw here, people here will go home with the good news. They will go and tell people, oh, you missed a lot, and that will, the next edition will be very large. So let's hope and pray.
Hello, what are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those social, economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And Personality Profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational story from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma Pratt. Still, the only TV show with a hat.
Right, so all too soon, this is where we drop the curtains on today's production. You know, when it comes to the issues of diplomacy and international relations, we are your number one go-to place. We are coming to you from Brussels, Belgium. The name is Harriet Nate. See you